Aurora 3 was a calm human colony. People always said it was the most peaceful place in the outer sector. 2 suns shined every morning. Soft blue winds moved across long green fields. The colony had no army base, no heavy weapons, and no real danger. Families lived simple lives. Children played in open parks. Farmers worked in quiet valleys. Everyone believed Aurora 3 would stay safe forever. Commander Elena Ward arrived only 3 days before the disaster. She was sent to check the colony's weather station. It was a boring job, and she felt no excitement. She walked through the main city, watching people laugh and shop, and she wondered why Earth even needed a soldier here. There was no threat, no enemy, no war, but something felt wrong. Elena did not know why. There was a strange silence in the air that morning. Birds did not sing, the winds felt heavier. Even the suns looked dim, like a storm was coming. She tried to ignore it, but the uneasy feeling stayed with her. Near noon, Elder Thomas, one of the oldest survivors of past wars, walked to Elena with worry in his eyes. He said he had seen something strange last night, something big moving across the stars. He tried to tell others, but no one listened. Aurora 3 had lived peacefully for 40 years. People stopped believing in danger. Elena asked the communication tower to check the skies. The tower scanned for signals, but nothing appeared. The scanners showed clear skies. No ships, no activity, no threat. Elena wanted to feel calm, but her instinct kept whispering that something was coming. At 14:02 local time, the first shadow appeared. People were outside enjoying the warm light of the 2 suns when everything suddenly darkened. A massive triangle shape slowly passed above the clouds. It was silent, completely silent. No engine sound. No warning. It did not match any human design. It did not answer any radio call. Children stopped playing. Workers looked up with fear. Cars halted in the streets. The entire colony paused, staring at the dark shape that moved like a giant shadow of death. Elena ran to the emergency console and shouted at the tower to identify the ship. The system ran a fast scan. The result came in red letters: unknown vessel. 0 match, 0 response. The ship turned, blocking both suns fully. The sky went black like night. A slow humming sound filled the air. Thomas grabbed his granddaughter and shouted that everyone must run, but no one understood why. Elena ordered everyone inside the shelters, but it was too late. A bright point of light appeared under the alien ship. At first it looked small, then it grew larger and brighter, until the light was painful to look at. Someone screamed. Someone else cried. Someone shouted, "It's firing!" Then the world exploded. A white beam shot down from the ship with unimaginable power. It touched the ground, and the city turned into boiling dust. Entire buildings melted in seconds. Streets cracked open. Vehicles flew into the air like pieces of paper. The shockwave destroyed everything for kilometers. People tried to run, but the heat burned through walls, houses, and metal shelters. Forests caught fire instantly. Oceans near the coastline began to steam, releasing clouds of burning mist. Elena grabbed 2 children and dragged them toward a bunker, but the beam kept spreading outward like a giant circle of death. The colony was dying faster than anyone could understand. Inside the control center, a young operator tried to send a distress message. His hands shook as the heat blasted the windows. He pressed the emergency broadcast button and shouted, "Unknown hostiles attacking Aurora 3. They give no warning, no demands, no mercy." The message left the planet 2 seconds before the control center was destroyed. Outside, Elena reached the bunker door, but the metal was glowing hot. She pushed the children inside and stayed outside to close the door. The beam washed over the ground like a wave of white fire. Elena felt the ground crumble beneath her boots. She saw the 2 suns fade into a blur, and then everything became silent. This alien ship finished the destruction. It slowly turned away from the burning world. Flames covered the mountains. Ash fell like dark snow. Oceans glowed red. Aurora 3 was gone, not conquered, not invaded, just erased. The ship drifted away without sending any message. It showed no emotion, no purpose, no sign of fear. Only a cold symbol marked its hull, a twisted circle of bone. Hours later, Earth received the distress message. Command centers froze. Leaders watched the footage of the burning colony. No one spoke. No one breathed. Every person who saw the video felt the same cold fear. The aliens did not want land. They did not want resources. They did not want anything from humans. They only wanted humans to disappear. And in that moment, humanity changed. Aurora 3 had burned. Now the galaxy would learn what humans did when someone took everything from them. They would fight, back with everything they had. Earth. Command stayed silent for almost 1 full hour after receiving the last message of Aurora 3. The recording of the destruction kept playing on every screen. No one wanted to believe what they were watching. It looked impossible. A whole human world erased in minutes. No warning. No chance to fight back. Admiral Rourke, the head of Earth Defense, finally stood up. His face looked tired and cold. He had seen wars before, but nothing like this. He replayed the image of the strange symbol burned into the alien ship's hull, a twisted circle of bone. "What are they?" he asked his team. No one answered. A team of analysts searched through all known alien records. They checked hundreds of species, friendly ones, old enemies, lost civilizations. Nothing matched the design of the ship. Nothing matched the symbol. It was like the enemy rose from a place no one knew. Dr. Hannah Kessler, a calm but brilliant xenohistorian, stepped forward with a small device in her hand. She said she had found something strange. During the destruction of Aurora 3, the scanners caught a few fragments from the alien weapon beam. The energy signature was not normal. It looked ancient, older than human history, older than most known species. And that scared her. "This enemy is not new," she said. "It is only new to us." Her words spread fear across the command room. Earth sent the nearest fleet to investigate the ruins of Aurora 3. The fleet reached the burnt world after 2 days. Captain Mason led the mission. He had seen human colonies destroyed by pirates before, but the moment he saw Aurora 3, he froze. Everything was gone. The forests were black dust. The oceans were steaming craters. The cities had melted into flat plains of glass. Wind blew across the ruins, carrying ashes of millions. The sky still glowed red like a permanent sunset. Mason ordered his team to search for survivors. They found nothing. Not one person. Not one living creature. Then the scanners found something buried under melted rock, a small, dark metal shard. The shape was sharp, curved, and looked completely alien. Mason took it carefully and sent it to the science team. Dr. Kessler studied the shard and made a discovery that shook everyone. The shard carried data, alien data. And that data repeated one word again and again, written in an old language she barely understood. Varrock, the Silent Ones, the World Burners, a forgotten species from an old star cluster, a species believed extinct thousands of years ago. No one had seen them in recorded history. No living empire had ever spoken about them. They had no allies, no diplomacy, no mercy. They only appeared when a world had something they wanted destroyed. Hannah read more of the ancient text and felt her heart sink. It said the Varrock believed the galaxy must be cleansed. Species must be removed, not conquered. Civilizations must be burned, not controlled. They destroyed life because they believed only their own existence was pure. Earth Command listened to her report. The room went silent again. Admiral Rourke then asked the most important question: why now? Why return after so many thousands of years? Hina could not answer. At the same moment, deep space sensors detected something terrifying. 3 more human colonies had gone dark. No signals, no communication, no ships leaving. Just silence. Rourke ordered immediate scans. The sensors came back with the same result every time. Colony status, dead, no survivors. Panic spread across the command center. Humanity was under attack, but the enemy did not talk, did not announce their presence, and did not leave survivors. They came like shadows. They burned entire worlds and vanished. Earth sent scout ships to the silent colonies. Every place looked like Aurora 3, burned, erased, dead. But something was different on the 4th colony. The scouts found a deep crater. Inside the crater was a giant machine, black, metallic, and humming with energy. It was not human. It had alien writing on it. The same writing found on the shard. The same writing meaning Varrock. The machine pulsed with a strange rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. Hannah studied the recording and realized it was some kind of marker, a signal, a declaration. They did not destroy the colony randomly. They were marking territory. The Varrock were not raiders, not attackers, not conquerors. They were cleansing the stars, step by step. Back on Earth, chaos was rising. News of the burned colonies spread across human space. People demanded safety. Governments demanded answers. Soldiers demanded war. Admiral Rourke stood in front of the Earth Council and said, "We cannot wait. We cannot hide. We cannot run. If we do nothing, we will be erased next." The Council asked him what he needed. Rourke gave the answer without hesitation. Everything. Every soldier. Every ship. Every gun. Humanity must fight with all its power, or we will not survive. The Council agreed. A message was broadcast across the galaxy. All human forces are to prepare for total mobilization. Unknown enemy identified, Varrock. They do not negotiate. They do not speak. They destroy all life. Humanity will not surrender, and so the silent enemy was no longer silent. Now the galaxy knew their name, and humanity prepared for war. The message spread across human space faster than any signal in history. Prepare for total war. Enemy, Varrock. No surrender. Every station, every colony, every ship heard it. No one misunderstood. Humanity was no longer facing pirates or small empires. This was something older, colder, and far more dangerous. The Varrock had burned worlds without warning. They attacked without speaking. They vanished before anyone could strike back. Now Earth wanted every hand, every skill, every weapon. This was the call that would shape the future. Admiral Rourke stood in the center of the main command hall. Giant screens showed burning colonies and dead planets. Officers ran across the hall, shouting updates, preparing fleets, activating emergency protocols. Rourke did not shout. He spoke calm and strong. From this moment, humanity fights as one force. Every ship available must report to the nearest fleet hub. Every soldier must be ready. Every scientist must assist in defense. "We will not be erased," a young officer asked. "Sir, how do we fight something like the Varrock?" Rourke answered with steel in his voice. "We fight them with everything." Across the galaxy, human space came alive. On the mining moon of Titan Delta, workers dropped their tools and ran to the hangars. Old mining ships were converted into armored carriers. Huge drills were rebuilt into heavy cannons. On the floating cities of Neptune's orbit, engineers moved through long metal bridges, reactivating old war engines that had not been used for decades. On the desert world of Harkon 5, retired soldiers opened their vaults, taking out weapons they promised to never touch again. Humanity did not run. Humanity prepared to fight. Captain Mason, who had seen the ruins of Aurora 3, was placed in command of Fleet Iron. These were heavy warships, giant carriers, battlecruisers, and armored destroyers. Ships that could survive direct hits and keep fighting. His flagship, Eternal Shield, had armor so thick that even meteor impacts barely scratched it. But Mason knew the Varrock weapon could melt entire cities. So he ordered double plating, new shields, and special heat-resistant hulls. "Make the ship tougher than a dying star," he told his engineers. "We are not losing another world." Fleet Iron would be the wall that stood between the Varrock and humanity. On the other side of human space, Commander Zara Lynn prepared Fleet Hammer, the fastest strike force humans had ever made. Speed was their weapon. Ambush was their style. These ships were light, fast, and deadly. They could enter enemy space, hit hard, and escape before the enemy noticed. Zara was feared by pirates and respected by soldiers. She trained her pilots to move like lightning. Her order was simple. If the Varrock appear anywhere, you hit them before they fire. No hesitation, Fleet Hammer would be the spear. Dr. Hannah Kessler was not a soldier, but her knowledge of the Varrock made her critical. She joined Fleet Dawn, the fleet of drone carriers, science ships, and support cruisers. They would scan Varrock ships, find weaknesses, and build counter-weapons. Fleet Dawn carried the most advanced drones humans had, thousands of them fast and silent. They could enter tight spaces, disable shields, map enemy designs, and even explode on command. Hana told her team, "The Varrock do not talk. They do not negotiate. So we must learn everything about them before they burn more worlds." Fleet Dawn would be the mind humanity's. Mobilization did not go unnoticed, alien. Species from nearby sectors watched the Varrock attacks with fear. They had heard stories of the Varrock in old legends, but no one believed they were real. Now, they watched humans preparing to fight the myth itself. Many alien governments expected humans to hide, to protect only themselves. They were wrong. Human ships moved toward the borders. Human soldiers stepped forward ready to die. Human engineers built weapons non-stop. The galaxy began to whisper, "Humans are fighting the Varrock. Humans are preparing for total war. Humans are not afraid." Some alien leaders sent secret messages asking for alliance. Some sent supplies. Others sent old war maps. Even species that once fought with humans now wanted to stand with them. The Varrock had burned human worlds. Now the galaxy saw the fire rising in humans. At last, Earth sent a final broadcast to every corner of human space. The message appeared on ships, cities, colonies, mining stations, everywhere humans lived. Admiral Rourke stood in front of the camera. "Humanity has lost too much. Aurora 3 is gone. 3 more colonies have fallen. The enemy wants our extinction. But humans do not fall quietly. Humans do not surrender their future. If the Varrock want a war, then we will show them a war they never expected." His voice grew harder. "We will not hide. We will not break. We will not lose. From this moment onward, every gun in the galaxy belongs to humanity." The message ended. Millions of humans across the stars shouted the same answer. The 3 human fleets, Iron, Hammer, and Dawn, moved into Varrock border space like a storm. For the first time in history, all major human forces were united under one purpose: find the enemy and hit back. The space ahead was dark and silent. No stars, no signals, no life. It felt like the galaxy itself was holding its breath. Captain Mason stood on the bridge of Eternal Shield, staring at the empty void. He knew the Varrock was somewhere out there watching. He felt it in his bones. "Any sign of them?" he asked his sensor officer. The officer shook his head. "Nothing, sir. No heat, no engine trails, no movement." Commander Zara Lynn from Fleet Hammer sent a message across the channel. "I do not like this silence," she said. Mason replied, "It means they're close." Dr. Hannah Kessler aboard Fleet Dawn monitored every scanner. She knew the Varrock preferred ambush. They attacked without warning. If they were coming, they would come fast, and then something flickered. A tiny dot appeared on one of the long-range screens. Faint, cold, almost invisible. "Contact!" the officer shouted. More dots appeared, 10, 20, 50. They spread out around the human fleets like shadows forming a circle. Zara's voice came through again. "They're surrounding us." Mason leaned forward. "All ships, battle positions. Shields up!" The dots suddenly brightened. Not like normal engines, not like any known drive. They glowed with pale blue light, almost like ghost flames. And then the Varrock ships came into view. The enemy vessels were sharp, dark, and silent. They moved like they were drifting through water, not space. Their hulls were shaped like long knives, and the twisted bone circle symbol glowed faintly. There were hundreds of them. Not one made a sound. Not one sent a message. Not one slowed down. They simply opened fire. Bright white beams shot toward the human fleets. The same kind of beams that burned Aurora 3. Mason slammed his fist on the control. "Evasive. Raise all shields." The first beams hit Fleet Iron. Most shields held, but one destroyer, the Guardbreaker, took a direct hit. The beam sliced through its hull like paper. The ship broke apart in a silent flash. Zara shouted over the comms, "Fleet Hammer, scatter formation. Hit them with speed." Her ships shot forward in tight groups, weaving between the Varrock beams. The pilots moved like lightning, zigzagging to avoid instant death. Weapons free. she ordered. Light them up. Hammers strike ships, fired missiles and plasma cannons. Explosions filled the void. A few Varric ships cracked apart, burning blue from inside. But many kept coming unharmed. Hannah watched the battle from her screens. The Varric ships were learning. They were adapting to human fire. Shields changed colors. Armor patterns shifted. They're adjusting to our weapons, she said urgently. We need new angles, new frequencies, new everything. Her engineers began changing drone weapon codes in real time. Captain Mason refused to fall back. Bring our heavy cannons online, he ordered. Target the largest enemy cluster. Fire on my mark. The Eternal Shield powered up its Titan cannons, massive weapons that required enormous energy. The hull vibrated. Lights flickered. The crew braced themselves. Mason lifted his hand. Waited. Mark! The cannons fired 2 colossal blasts of golden energy. They tore through 5 Varric ships in one shot. The explosion lit up the whole battlefield. Humans across the fleets cheered, but the Varric did not slow down. They turned together, like one mind. Focusing their beams on Mason's flagship, Zara yelled through the channel. Mason, move! They're targeting you! The beams hit Eternal Shield's front armor. The metal glowed white-hot. The shield screamed with warning alarms. Hold the line, Mason shouted. We can't back up now. The beams pushed harder. The armor began cracking. Crew members struggled to keep balance as the ship shook like a dying beast. Then a swarm of human drones rushed in from Fleet Dawn. Hannah's voice came through. Dawn drones intercepting. Thousands of small, fast machines swarmed the Varric ships. They fired micro-explosives and EMP bursts. Dozens of Varric beams flickered and died for a moment, giving the Eternal Shield time to recover. Mason took a breath. Thank you, Dr. Kessler. Fleet Hammer regrouped and launched a full-speed attack. Zara's pilots targeted the underside of Varric ships, one of the few areas not glowing with energy. Missiles struck weak points. Varric hulls cracked apart in bright flashes. Zara grinned. We found a blind spot. Hit them low! The battle began to shift. Human ships pushed forward. Drones blinded the enemy. Heavy cannons tore holes in the Varric lines. For the first time, humans were not being hunted. They were fighting back, and they were winning. But suddenly, the Varric fleet changed formation. All ships moved backward at the same time, creating a wide circle. Their beams stopped. For a moment, everything fell silent. Mason watched them carefully. What are they doing? Hannah analyzed the pattern. Her face turned pale. They are not retreating, she whispered. They are calling something. A massive shadow appeared behind the Varric fleet. Even the stars disappeared behind it. It was bigger than any battleship, bigger than any carrier. Zara gasped. Is that their command ship? The shadow moved forward, revealing its shape. Long, dark, covered in bone symbols. Weapons glowing like small suns. The real battle was only beginning, and humanity had just entered the jaws of the Varric war machine, the giant Varric. Command ship moved forward like a dark star, waking from sleep. It was so massive that human senses struggled to measure it. Its hull looked alive, covered in moving bone symbols that shifted like crawling shadows. Every human ship fell silent. Even the battle stopped for a moment, as both sides felt the weight of its presence. Captain Mason stared through the viewport, unable to understand how something this huge could move so quietly. That thing, he whispered. It's the size of a small moon. Commander Zara Lynn spoke through comms, her voice tense. If that ship fires, half our fleet will disappear. Dr. Hannah Kessler's scanners beeped with warnings. She studied the readings and felt a cold fear grow in her chest. Admiral Rourke needs to hear this, she said. She opened her link. Admiral, the command ship is generating an energy field we have never seen before. It's not a weapon, it's something else. Rourke replied, Explain. Hannah took a deep breath. It's building a structure. I think the Varric are deploying something called a forge core. The room around her went silent. A forge core, a myth in ancient alien records. A machine capable of creating world-burning weapons. If the Varric activated it, humans would not only lose the battle, they would lose entire star systems. the Varric flagship opened like a giant metal flower. Bright white energy swirled inside its center. Small black machines floated out, forming a ring around the flagship. They began spinning faster and faster until a large sphere of light grew in the middle. Hana shouted, "They are making a forge gate. If it stabilizes, they can bring more ships. Or worse." Mason clenched his teeth. "We stop it now. All ships, focus fire on the command ship." Fleet Iron, Fleet Hammer, and Fleet Dawn unleashed everything they had. Missiles streaked through space. Plasma cannons glowed. Drones flew like a storm of angry insects. Explosions struck the Varric flagship, but it didn't move, did not shake, did not react. The blasts were swallowed by its shimmering shield. Zara cursed. "That shield is absorbing the damage. Are you telling me this monster is invincible?" Hana studied the energy flow. "No, the shield is strong but not perfect. It weakens when it sends power into the forge gate." Mason immediately understood. "Then we hit it when it powers the gate." "Zara, wait for the pulse. Strike during the drain," Zara smiled. "Now we're talking!" The forge gate pulsed, bright and blinding. As it did, the shield flickered. "Now!" Mason roared. Fleet Hammer moved at full speed. Their fastest ships punched through the Varric line, swerving between beams. Missiles, torpedoes, and railgun rounds hit the flagship's shield. This time, they made it shake. Zara shouted, "We hit it!" "Hit it again!" More explosions struck. Cracks formed on the shield's surface, glowing like spiderwebs. Then the Varric reacted. Dozens of enemy ships broke formation, rushing to defend the forge gate. Their beams fired wildly, cutting through space like blades of white fire. A hammer pilot screamed as his ship took a direct hit and exploded. Another spun out of control. A third crashed into a Varric fighter, taking both down. The battle turned brutal again, but Fleet Hammer had bought precious seconds. The forge gate flickered. Hana's reading spiked. "It's destabilizing. One more coordinated hit and we can shut it down." The Varric flagship tried to increase power to stabilize the gate. Its shields flickered again, but only for a moment. Mason shouted, "Fleet Iron, forward! Prepare Titan cannons!" His crew rushed to power the giant weapons. The ship groaned, energy levels rising dangerously. Hana warned, "Captain, if you fire both cannons at this power, your ship will overload." Mason replied simply, "Better us than the galaxy." The forge gate pulsed again. "Fire!" The Titan cannons unleashed their full power. The blasts tore through space, smashing into the weakened shield. The cracks expanded fast, like glass breaking. The shield shattered. The explosions hit the flagship directly this time. Plates ripped off its hull. Dark fluid leaked into space. The bone symbols twisted violently like living creatures in pain. Zara shouted in victory, "Its armor is breaking!" Hana yelled, "Hit the core! Fire everything!" Human ships poured all their weapons into the exposed hull. The forge gate flickered, sputtered, and collapsed. The Varric flagship shook violently, losing control. But then something terrifying happened. The flagship opened again, far wider than before. A giant mechanical sphere rose from inside it. The sphere pulsed with white flame and black energy veins. Hana's scanner shrieked warnings. "That's the forge core itself. They're activating it manually." Mason's eyes widened. "We can't let it fire!" Zara shouted, "All hammer ships, hit that core now!" Speed fighters launched forward, shooting everything they had. Plasma trails and missile streaks filled the dark. Then the forge core opened. A white beam started forming. Hana screamed, "If it fires, it will destroy half the sector." "Move." The forge core reached full power. The beam shot forward, lighting up the galaxy like a newborn star, and Fleet Dawn's drones swarmed directly into the beam. Thousands of drones died instantly. Their sacrifice absorbed the first blast. "Keep firing!" Mason roared, every ship-focused fire. The forge core cracked, exploded, and the Varric flagship ruptured into a massive fireball. The shockwave blasted across space. Human ships were thrown backward, some spinning, some losing control. Then silence. The Varric command ship was gone, but the battlefield did not celebrate, because new readings appeared on every scanner. Hana whispered in horror, "No!" Destroying the forge core released a signal. Zara asked, "What kind of signal?" Hana's voice trembled, a distress call. The Varrock just called their prime armada. The galaxy held its breath. For the first time in months, no alien ship fired on a human colony, and no distress signal echoed across the star lanes. The burning worlds were still silent, but now the silence felt different. It felt like a promise. A storm coming from the human side. Inside the warship Titan's hand, Captain Rhea Solis stood in the center command ring. The room was dark, except for the blue lights of battle screens floating around her. Every officer waited for her orders, but she was silent. She was thinking about Iridian 6, the world that burned, and the families lost in the fire. She finally spoke. Status of Project Aegis. Commander Holt stepped forward. His face looked tired, but his voice was sharp. All ships are armed. Every rail cannon, plasma battery, missile bay all ready. The weapon cores are stable. Humanity has never been this armed before, Rhea nodded. Good, today we change everything. The crew felt the weight of those words. For months, humans had only survived. They defended, they retreated. But today was different. Today, humanity was preparing to strike back the Council's decision. Across the fleet, soldiers and pilots watched the same broadcast. The Human Alliance Council sat in their white chamber, the hologram of a burned planet behind them. The High Speaker's voice echoed through every ship. We did not start this war, but we will end it. The alien empire burned a human world. So today, humanity moves forward with a single purpose, total defense of our species. No retreat, no fear. From this moment, every human gun in the galaxy will rise. The broadcast ended. Silence. Then a loud cheer shook the ships. This was not hope. This was fury turning into strength. But deep in the dark regions of space, something else was happening. A small human scout team, Unit Spectre, floated inside a stealth ship near an enemy stronghold. Its engines were cold to stay hidden. Inside the small cabin, Lieutenant Mira Dane looked at the screens with wide eyes. Captain, are we seeing this right? Captain Arik Hale leaned closer. His heartbeat slowed as he read the alien transmissions. It's true. They're preparing something huge. Not a normal fleet. A world-breaker weapon. They want to do what they did to Iridian 6. But on a larger scale, Mira's voice shook. How many people? Arik closed his eyes. Billions. The team went quiet. The silence felt heavy, almost alive. They knew they had to warn the human fleet fast. Prepare jump drive, Arik ordered. We need to reach Titan's hand. If we are late, the galaxy will burn again. While the scout ship prepared to jump, the main human fleet was forming. Thousands of ships created a massive wall of steel and firepower. Ships of every size, fighters, frigates, artillery cruisers, dreadnoughts, lined up in formation. Commander Holt looked at the fleet display. This is the largest human force ever assembled. If this fails, there will be no humanity left to fight again, Rhea responded softly. It won't fail, but inside she felt fear, real fear. She knew the enemy was old, powerful and merciless. She also knew humans were unpredictable. Humans fought hardest when they lost everything. Suddenly alarms flashed. Incoming ship. Fast jump, it's human! Rhea turned. Put it through! The screen lit up with Captain Arik Hale's face. Smoke filled the air behind him. Titan's hand. This is Unit Spectre. We found something. The enemy is building a planet-killer weapon. They plan to strike at the core human systems. You must move now. The command room froze. Rhea swallowed hard. How long until they strike? Arik's voice darkened. Days, maybe hours. You must launch the counter-strike. This is not just a battle. This is survival of the species. The transmission cut. Spectre's ship was under fire. Rhea slowly looked at her officers. Prepare the fleet. We attack immediately. No one hesitated. As the ships aligned, engines glowed brighter and brighter until the whole fleet looked like a sunrise waiting to explode. Rhea stood at the front window of the bridge. Her reflection looked strange. Strong but tired, angry but calm. The universe thinks humans are weak, she whispered. They think one burned world will break us. They do not understand. They just woke something they cannot control. The fleet waited for the final command. A deadly silence filled the galaxy. This was the silence before. Humanity unleashed every gun they had. This was the silence before the counterstrike. The human fleet moved like a growing storm across the stars' engines. Roared weapons warmed thousands of ships, formed a burning line of blue light. Spreading across the dark space like a second horizon, Captain Rhea Solis stood at the center of the Titan's hand bridge. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were fire. Begin the jump. We end this today. Her words rolled across every ship. Pilots tightened their grips. Soldiers checked their armor. Gunners stood ready at their stations. Every human heart beat the same rhythm. Payback. The fleet vanished into hyperspace. When the human ships dropped out of jump, a massive alien fortress filled the sky. It looked like a giant black cage wrapped around a glowing red star. Swarms of alien ships moved around it like insects around a nest. And at the center, the Worldbreaker weapon, a giant rotating ring, energy as bright as a new sun. Enough power to destroy whole worlds, Commander Holt whispered. They really plan to burn everything we have left. Rhea clenched the railing. Not today. She raised her hand. Fire on all fronts. The human fleet opened fire at once. Rail cannons thundered. Missiles spread across space like a metal rain shower. Blue plasma beams shot from every direction. Alien forces answered back with red burning light. The space between both armies turned into a storm of explosions. Ships shattered, armor melted. Pilot screams mixed with electric static, but humans did not slow. They pushed forward harder. Human destroyers created gaps in the enemy lines. Fighter wings dove through those gaps. Artillery ships sent long-range fire straight into the alien fortress. Humanity fought like a species that refused to die in the middle of the battle. A damaged scout ship limped out of hyperspace. It was Unit Spectre. Flames danced across its hull. Sparks jumped from the engines inside. Lieutenant Mira shouted, "Captain, the ship won't last!" Arik Hale coughed, blood on his lips. "Get us close to the Worldbreaker. If we die, then we take something important with us." Their small ship flew low across the battlefield, slipping through explosions. Alien guns chased them, beams cutting the space behind like blades. But Spectre kept going. They had one mission. One chance back on Titan's hand. Holt shouted, "Enemy reinforcements incoming." 2 more fleets arriving from the dark side. Rhea saw the new fleets appear, hundreds more alien ships. It felt like drowning, but she did not blink. Signal the human outer colonies. Order them to fire long-range strike weapons. All of them, Holt stared. "That's every gun humanity has left," Rhea nodded. That was the promise moments later. The stars behind the human fleet began to flicker. Dozens, hundreds, thousands of long-range missiles appeared, flying from distant human colonies. Stations and outposts, every human community in the galaxy had fired their last weapon toward the same. A point. It was beautiful and terrifying. The alien reinforcements turned and saw a burning wall of human rage coming at them. Unit Spectre reached the Worldbreaker weapon. Alarms echoed inside their ship. Arik looked at Mira. "This is for Iridian 6. They armed their core reactor, a self-destruct charge, small but powerful if detonated inside the weapon. Ring Spectre dived straight into the glowing circle of the Worldbreaker. Alien turrets fired. Metal shields cracked, engines died. Arik hit the trigger. A silent flash burst inside the massive ring. Then the Worldbreaker cracked open like broken glass. Rhea saw the explosion from the bridge. "The Worldbreaker is down." "Full attack!" "Finish it!" Every human ship focused fire on the alien fortress. The long-range missiles arrived at the same time. A massive wave of white fire tore across the battlefield. Alien ships burned. The fortress split in half. The command core exploded. The enemy fleet collapsed. The sky turned bright with the light of a dying empire. Humanity had done it. They had unleashed every gun they had, and it was enough. Hours later, the battlefield was quiet. Human ships floated among burning wreckage. Rescue teams looked for survivors. Rhea stood at the window, watching the ruined alien fortress drift apart. Holt spoke softly. "It's over." "Humanity won." Rhea shook her head. "No, humanity survived. That is different. She looked at the stars ahead. We lost a world. But the enemy learned something today. Humans are not easy prey. Burn one of our worlds, and we will bring the galaxy down on your head. The fleet turned for home, their guns cooling, their hearts still burning. The war was not forgotten, but the galaxy would never fear that alien empire again because now it feared humanity.